is foreshortening, all right? What shape is the top of a box? What's this? Yeah, it's a square. But if you look at it in perspective, where something is going further away from you, or it's coming closer to you, and we can illustrate that with our hands. I'll show you that in a moment. Something is getting smaller as it gets further away. So the top of a box is a square, but in perspective, the top of a box is going to be a rhombus, or like this diamond. So for that reason, the distance between these two is closer than the distance between these two, which from corner to corner on the top of a square box, you know the two corners are equal, right? So that's illustrating perspective. The same reason why a circle, if you put it in perspective away from where it's going away from you, a circle is an oval, okay? So let me adjust this for you guys a little bit. So we're going to start with drawing a horizontal line, okay? And I'm going to show you a little cheat for drawing a horizontal line. If you will put your pinky and your wrist along the edge of a sketchbook, which you don't have, and nor is the edge of your paper thick enough to catch your wrist, but you can use the edge of your table. So lock your pinky and your wrist alongside, and then hold your finger in a locked position. And then instead of moving your fingers, you just drag your wrists down, and you can make a pretty darn straight line. Okay? So do that. Start with just a horizontal line on your paper. On that horizontal line, we're going to put 2 dots. And I want those dots to be a pretty good distance apart. So I'm going to put my 4 fingers on the line, and I'm going to put 1 dot on the left and 1 dot on the right. I'm basically forcing you to put the right amount of space between your stuff, okay? Now, we need 2 more dots, and this is going to indicate the top corner of the box that's furthest away from us and the one that's closest. And the main thing you need to understand for that is, let's put them about 1 finger width. I'm putting my finger right on the middle of that line. I'm going to put a dot above my finger and a dot below my finger. These 2 dots need to be equally close to this middle line, okay? So whatever space I have right here, I need that space to be roughly the same as this, okay? Because if you don't, what I'll show you what that looks like is if you have, these are your 4 dots, and this one's really close to the center line, and this one's above, the angles won't match up, and you're getting closer to that looking like a square, which is a box from above, not in perspective, okay? I'm giving you a tiny little baby step up towards perspective. I'm gently pushing you towards it, okay? So this isn't actual linear perspective. We're just getting close to it. So right now we've got 1 line and 4 dots. Looks kind of like a division symbol on a line segment, right? Okay, now we're going to measure with our fingers like this. So do you want a short box or do you want a kind of taller box? It doesn't matter, but you're going to draw 3 vertical lines down, and you want the length of these lines to be roughly the same. Roughly the same. It is okay if they are not perfect, but they're roughly the same. In fact, I'm going to make this one over here really long and very obviously wrong, and I'll show you how that won't matter here in a moment, okay? Everybody have their 3 lines? Straight down? Okay, cool. I'm going to try to kind of go fast with you guys since I'm videoing as well. This will be on Google Classroom, so you can pause and stuff. Okay, now I need to connect these 4 dots. And this angle here of this line should roughly match the angle of this line too, okay? So all you're doing is connecting those top 4 dots. And you see how sketchy my lines are? That's totally fine. You can erase and clean up later. And I already told you guys, draw with light, fluffy fingers at first, right? Until you're sure of a line. Is everyone here? Yes? Okay. So, now I'm ready to do what I call copy and paste with a line. What's important is that the bottom of this box, the angle matches the top right here. So this line, the angle of this line, matches the angle of this line. In actual linear perspective, that's not totally the case, but right now, this angle needs to match. So what I did was I copied this line and I moved it down and pasted it here. All right? So when I'm copying, I always tell students, I want you to physically draw over the line that you're copying with this motion. Why do you think I would tell people to do that? Who has a guess? And I still do it after over 20 years of drawing. If I want to copy the angle of a line, I physically draw over it. Why would I do that? Cody, why do you think? You're an athlete. You probably know. I'm not cleaning it up because the objective, remember, is copying and pasting it. So I want to copy this line and then I'm gonna draw it again somewhere else. So why would I physically draw over this? Anybody want to guess? What do you think, Jasmine? That is exactly right, muscle memory. So by putting the motion of this line in my hand, it was a good guess, though, Cody. It's conditioning my hand to make that mark, right? So copy, drag it down here, and paste. So I did a pretty good job copying that angle. And notice the objective was not connect the bottom of this line to the bottom of that one. What's more important is copying this angle and pasting it. Now from this dot, I'm going to copy this line, copy. I'm going to say again, still after over 20 years of drawing, roughly 22, I still do this because muscle memory is important in drawing. It can aid you in drawing. So now you can see how the length of this line mattered not, right? Because I can just now go back and erase that. Now I'm ready to do that cleanup that Cody mentioned. Okay, so I have my box. Let me show you the right angle. And just to show you how perspective matters here for my iPad viewers, that's what it looks like from above. Okay, so let's put a shadow in on this box and we're gonna be done with it. So I'm gonna say that my light source is up here on the right. I indicate it with a star. And it's hard to invent a light source, it really is. Let's just shade this side of the box because I know there's no light getting to this side, okay? And now I'm gonna put a shadow on the back side of the box, like the surface. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to scribble it down flat like this because what does that look like? If the shadow is coming straight down like this. Can y'all see how that looks weird? It looks like there's like a drop-off point there, so that's not what you want to do. You can extend this angle down and then put in your shadow. Make it extra dark next to the bottom of the box. And bingo, you just drew a cube. Erase that middle line. That was a guideline. And you're done with your cube. Next, we're going to add the flaps on the cube and make it look like an open Put your ball. Pencil on this dot. And draw a line down until you touch the next line. Just a straight up vertical line down until boop, it touches that line. You see how I just created two triangles here? The triangle on the left, I'm gonna shade. All right. Now, in this line of the triangle, make that pretty dark, like press kind of hard, and blend it up. Just use that your value scale knowledge to kind of blend up in that triangle. And I'm going to put a little shadow on the inside flap here as well. And you can see how kind of scribbly and scratchy my values are, and that's just fine. So now our box looks open, right? Our final step is going to be adding flaps on it. And all you have to do to add flaps, now, however close together you make that V is just going to be how open the flaps on the box are. So that matters not. So if I stretch mine out a little bit, just a V. Now, if you want to get technical, however long you make these lines of the V should probably be at least half of the length of one of these. Otherwise, the flap wouldn't cover the box. But I'm not going to be that technical with you guys, okay? We're ready to copy and paste again now that you have the V. So copy, physically put the motion of this line into your hand because of muscle memory. Copy, and then move it over here and paste. And then connect. And you can see in the example drawing that the 4 flaps of the hollow box, they're just little parallelograms sticking off the edge, right? That's all they are, okay? So back over here. Copy this line, paste it over here, and then connect. And get into the habit, if it helps, you can invert what you just did and do an upside down V here, like the first part of an A. Or sometimes it helps, and it might be easier just to rotate your paper. And then I'm going to draw my other V here. Oh, wait, sorry, I was doing it on the bottom. I was looking at the iPad, not on my drawing. Here, from this dot. And I'm probably not on the screen. There we go. Another V here. And then copy, paste, connect. Copy, paste, connect. We are almost done drawing this open box. Almost. There's only a couple things we have left to do. I need to erase a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit more shadows to intensify this drawing. Who knows where and sees where I need to erase? Mickey, what do I need to erase?
The line that's far right that it kind of connects with the flap.
Here? And then what else?
And then the one like where it's shaded over it.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember that kind of rule in drawing that anytime you overlap something, you need to erase what you just covered. So whenever I drew this flap here, this rectangle, I overlapped this line. I need to erase that. Whenever I drew this flap, I overlapped all this shading. So I need to erase all of that. So once I take my eraser and do that, it really pushes the illusion of overlapping, which is what we're going for. We're creating depth in this drawing. So once you overlap, now it looks like this flap is going over this side of the box, and that this flap is going over and covering that line back there that we can't see. The last thing I would like for you guys to do is intensify your shading. So underneath this flap, we're going to create a shadow. Make a really dark line here, and underneath the flap all the way to the edge of the box, which ends there. Make a dark shadow. And in fact, I would like to darken this whole side of the box a little bit. I'm going to add value on these flaps as well. I'm just going to do a little bit of hatching. There would probably be a little bit of light on this one. This would be in shadow. There would be some shadow over here. So I'm just adding a little bit of shading. In drawing, whenever a good kind of way to create a lot of intense values is remembering that only a few parts of the drawing that are coming into direct light are going to be the white of your paper. The rest of it you should apply a light value to. And there are multiple ways that I told you you can achieve a light value. How can you achieve a light value? What are some ways? Your blender has some residual graphite on it that you can use to put in a light value. There's a very light value there. You can use your H value pencil because H makes a light mark. So you can use your H value pencil to create a light value. And you can also, even with a darker pencil, if you just use light pressure, you can achieve a light value. So there is our finished hollow cube.